Hey, good day, good afternoon to you. This is Ray Hazlip, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Games Analysis and Producer Perspectives. So today, before we get started, I want to give a very, very brief update. It's a bit of a small eulogy. Since we've been doing the podcast Unscripted Gaming for a long time, sometimes you might hear like barking in the background, and I always try to edit it out. I can't always catch all the barks, but typically the barking is typically from my dog Felix. You go to some past episodes, you might hear it, or you might hear me forget to edit, or one of us is in the middle of talking and I'm not able to catch it. Well, unfortunately, a couple days ago, he has gone over what some people would call that big rainbow bridge in the sky. Felix has passed on. Silver lining, I guess it makes the editing easier, but realistically speaking and non-joking, he was an incredible little friend that I had. I had him for 12 years. I got him as a 6-month-old puppy in 2014, and he made it all the way to June of 2026. I got him when I was living in San Francisco, so many moons ago. He flew with me on a plane when I moved to Austin, Texas. Moved there for work-related reasons. And he eventually, again for work-related reasons, was with me in the car as I took a 16-hour drive from Austin, Texas, all the way to Illinois. He's been with me for pretty much most of my professional career after I finished college. I'll miss him. I really will. I was horrifically sad to see him go, but it was time. It was time. I was there for him the entire time as he went, and now he is resting peacefully. So, that out of the way, a small little eulogy for the silent member of at least my podcast and possibly Unscripted Gaming. Not so silent, actually. Yeah, if you go back to some of the older episodes, you might just hear him like yell barking or howling or something like that. I mentioned before, I can't always get all of those edits, but now I'm kind of glad I didn't always get them. If I ever go back and listen to some old episodes, that'll be a nice reminder. So, that is somber news. Let's get into straight up bad news. Xbox Games Division. We're going to talk about Microsoft a little bit today. We're going to talk about capitalism today. We talk about capitalism in almost every podcast, but we're definitely going to deep dive into capitalism today. Oh my gosh, are we going to do that today? So, I mentioned before, last time we talked on this particular episode, that Xbox is looking to shut down a couple of different studios. I do believe it was Ninja Theory, Compulsion Games, and Double Fine. And it looks like they actually are doing mass layoffs and possibly shutting down the studio at Compulsion Games. Tech Times is reporting that the reason for this shutdown is because Compulsion Games took 7 years to make their last game, South of Midnight, which, as I mentioned before last time we talked, won a Peabody Award, and I do believe it won a BAFTA Award. This was an award-winning video game. But the real reason is that even though 1 million people played this game, 1 million people played it on Game Pass. What that means is nobody bought this game. Like, no one in appreciable numbers bought this game. I've been saying for years, and you've probably heard me and Josh on Unscripted Gaming kind of go back and forth on what the benefits and negatives of Game Pass is. I've been saying for years that Game Pass is a net negative because financially speaking, it doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. And the example I always give is in, I think it was 2019, when I wanted to play the game The Outer Worlds. I signed up for Microsoft Games Pass. They had a sale going, signed up for $1. I signed up for $1 whole, no tax on top of it, just $1. I played through the entirety of Outer Wilds, and then they said, well, when the next month rolls around, we'll charge you $9.99. It's like, no, you're not. I've already played the game, the one video game I wanted to play, and canceled it. I played a $60 game for $1. I didn't buy it. I would have bought it. It was a fascinating game. I really enjoyed it, but is that acceptable? Is that fair? And that was the example I used, and to this day will always use as that's proof that this is a sustainable business model. Another example is when I wanted to play Yakuza 0. I was really interested in trying to get into the Yakuza games. I saw it was on Games Pass. I paid. They had another special where they're like, hey, sign up for $1. Go ahead and get in. I played Yakuza 0 for $1. So I think if you account for like the 1 month I incidentally had Game Pass to try out No Man's Sky, I think I've paid a grand total of, I want to say $16, $17 over the years of me trying Game Pass on and off. And I played 3 full $60 video games. That's $17, we'll say, versus maybe the $180 I was willing to pay for $60 each game. And I've been saying for years, like, hey, does everyone not see that this is an extremely unsustainable business model? What? No, everyone believes it's just the best value in video gaming? Is no one doing the math of where that value is coming from? Don't get me wrong, Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company, but eventually the bills do come due and you do start eating away at that valuation. So yeah, it's reasonable to believe that Compulsion Games, with their last game, which took 7 years to make, South of Midnight, it's reasonable to believe that they lost $60 million in just revenue if 1 million people played it, but 1 million people didn't buy it. Some people could say like, well, you kind of bought it if you have a Game Pass monthly subscription. It's like, no, that's not how that math works at all, actually. That $9.99 is to cover the licensing fees for all of the games on Game Pass, not one particular game on Games Pass. So basically, there's an argument to be made that so long as you played a couple other games inside that save month, you basically played South of Midnight for free. That argument could be made, and that's a really bad argument. That's like when Movie Pass was around. Xbox Games Pass is like a worse version of Movie Pass, in that Movie Pass was really dumb because back in its heyday, you paid $9.99 and it let you see an infinite number of movies. And I remember when Mike, you go back in 2017 when Mike introduced me to Movie Pass, I said, oh, that's the dumbest business model in the world. I'm going to go buy it right now because movies are a passive experience, and as opposed to paying $13 for 2 hours of my time, 3 hours sometimes, I will pay $9.99, and all I have to do is watch 2 movies, and it has paid for itself completely. And eventually Movie Pass kept raising the price, they kept locking out certain movies, blah blah blah. Eventually it went under. They even had a IPO evaluation and it went under as well. It was hilarious. So not Movie Pass, I'm sorry, now I'm stuck in that. Game Pass, which is, woo boy, when you compare it, when you're doing the one-to-one comparison of Game Pass to Movie Pass, you can kind of see how much of a weird setup this is. Game Pass is a loss leader. It's always been a loss leader. Well, it's not a loss leader, actually, because that implies that they're gaining something with it. They have not, in Microsoft, well, they don't call it the Microsoft Games Division, they call it the Xbox Division. The Xbox Division has not increased unit sales due to Game Pass. They have not gotten more people into their ecosystem due to Game Pass. It's not a loss leader, it's just a loss. It's a complete loss. It's a continuous loss. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. And that's awful for everybody at Compulsion Games. It really is, because as I've read online, I can't verify this, so sources don't really matter, but I read somewhere that Phil Spencer told Compulsion Games, hey, make whatever game you want, so long as we can put it on Game Pass to add value to Game Pass. Now, there's an argument to be made, hey, should it have taken you 7 years to make one single-player narrative video game? No. There is an argument to be made that, hey, Xbox as a publisher should have stepped in at some time and said, hey, how's everyone doing? Yeah, you have 3 to 4 years to make a narrative video game. Good luck. 7 years is an obnoxious amount of time. That's a long amount of time. 7 years was 2019. Just to remind everybody, 7 years was pre-COVID pandemic. Or at least at the very beginning of it, where there were whispers, but that is an impossible amount of time to make a video game. A single video game, a single player narrative video game. That's way too much. I think Nintendo gets away with taking that long. Most other companies cannot take that long. So there's a lot of blame to go around, but really it is Microsoft ultimately for shoving their game on a format where it was never going to make its money back. And now they're closing down the studio for it, and that's awful. That's absolutely awful. They did their job. They made a stellar video game. It wasn't enough. And I think that's miserable, actually, in a lot of ways. Speaking of the Xbox division, we'll hang on that topic for a little bit. Starting August 1st, Microsoft is going to increase the price of all their Xbox Series X and S consoles. This is the third price increase they are doing in the last 2 years, and the second price increase in 2026. Crazy. And it's not by a little bit either. They're increasing the price by, in some cases, $150. Oh, no. No. That's $150 price increase. I shouldn't laugh. It's not funny. What's funny is the audacity, actually. It used to, back in my day, consoles would go down in price. When I finally bought a PlayStation 4, it was $250, not the $400 it launched at, and it came with a copy of Bloodborne. This, no. This is the opposite direction. The Xbox Series consoles came out in 2020. It's been 6 years and the price has only gone up. So, Microsoft is reporting, according to CNBC, that this is because the console storage and memory prices have increased. This is due to AI. Make no mistake, this is 100% due to AI. Don't let anybody tell you differently. We'll get to that here in a moment. They said in a blog post, we hope the price increase wouldn't be necessary, but we have spent the last several months working with suppliers on different options. Really? Have you? Hey, Microsoft, isn't your Copilot AI thing, isn't that what you're trying to shove into everything in Windows? It's really weird that Microsoft is pleading poverty about having to raise the prices of their consoles by astronomical rates. Meanwhile, they're part of the problem. They're literally part of the problem, like a different division of Microsoft, their AI division or their infrastructure division, are the ones causing the gaming division to have to go ahead and kind of eat a poop sandwich in front of their customers. The call is coming from inside the house, y'all. Whatever. Let's talk about the prices. The Xbox Series X 1TB edition, this console launched at $500 in 2020. Then over the years, it's had its price raised to $650. Now the disk drive version of the Xbox Series X 1TB edition is going to be $800. $800. Oh my gosh. The digital version that does not come with a disk drive, you get to save $50. It's going to be $750. That's not even a deal. That's not a deal for anybody. It's like, hey, you want the ability to give this gigantic corporation... You could buy a console from this gigantic corporation, but also, do you want to never actually own any of the games? not even in a physical format, say $50. It's like F off, go away. No, that's absurd. Let's talk. How about the Xbox Series S, the cheaper model? Well, the 512 gigabyte version goes from $400. I forget what it launched at. I think it launched at about $350, but it goes from $400 to $500. And the Xbox Series S 1 terabyte edition, which launched at $300, by the way, $299.99. Some people were saying it's the best price console. I never agreed with that because it was a digital only model, but whatever. That is going to go. It launched at $300. Over the years, it's gone up in price to $450, and now it's going to go up to $600. You know what you could buy for $600 as opposed to a digital-only console? The Xbox Series S, which is a extremely underpowered machine compared to all the other consoles on the market. You could buy a Switch 2 and like 2 games. Well, no, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You could buy a Switch 2 in like 3 games. 2 games if they're like Nintendo first-party games. Yeah. That is an unagreeable price for everybody involved. Nobody thinks that that's a good price. The only people that think that's a good price are, I guess, Xbox fanboys, Xbox fangirls that think like, yeah, $600 makes a lot of sense. No one thinks that makes a lot of sense. I don't even think Microsoft thinks that it makes a lot of sense. I'll be honest with you. The 2 gigabyte Xbox Series X, the price for that, they didn't even announce because they said the price was going to be so high that we are just going to sunset the model. Can you imagine that sort of lost capitulation? The price of a specific model of your console, due to the price raise, it was going to be so high that they're like, we can't even say this number out loud. We're just going to stop selling it. That's crazy. That's nuts. It's like they don't. I'm not saying that the Xbox division doesn't care anymore. They clearly do care, but it's very clear that they're not in a rush to sell these consoles. Like, yeah, a couple people might pick them up, but why? PlayStation 5 is right there. It's cheaper and it's more powerful, and let's be honest, it has more support. It just does. If that's what you want. There's a conspiracy theory that Asha Sharma, the new CEO of the Xbox division, I've said it before, but the conspiracy theory is that she's been sent out from Microsoft to just kind of, in the words of corporate America, just die out there. Not necessarily like literally die, but basically like, hey, this is going to kind of destroy your career in the public image. We're sending you out there to fix this. And by fix, we mean you're going to make all of these incredibly unpopular decisions. And yeah. So again, Microsoft, you're part of the problem as to why that there are component price increases. Literally, you're part of the problem. And I'm sure Asha Sharma is not going to say that out loud, but if you read between the lines, everyone kind of knows it. How do you expect consumers and customers and clients to buy your products if they can't afford them? Where's the line there? You can't both have a gaming division and an AI division, and the AI division is making it near impossible for the gaming division to do business and expect it to be successful. Listen, I only recently got my degree in business. I only recently got it like a month ago or something like that. And it feels this is obvious to me. Why is this not making sense to anyone else? Unless I don't care. Unless they're going to launch Project Helix, whatever that is, at like $1,500, $1,700, and they're like, yeah, all 3 people that want to buy this, here you go. And they're like, oh, look, we tried to launch a new console, didn't work. Okay, I guess we're just not gonna have a Xbox division, or they're gonna sell it, or they're gonna shut it down. I don't know. You want to talk about things that aren't sustainable? Selling video game hardware at prices you know that nobody can afford is beyond unsustainable. This is like Philips CDI levels of unsustainable. Which is a shame, because I don't want Microsoft, the games division, I don't want the Xbox game division to kind of like burn away. I don't want that at all, but I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, they're trying. Are they? Are they really trying? All I've seen is stumble after stumble after stumble, but whatever. Let's go ahead and we will take a quick ad break. Then I will be right back. So you know what I like? I like energy drinks. I take them every time right before I work out. And what I don't like about energy drinks is when you do take them, you do have a caffeine crash right after them. And so I'm always shopping around for different energy drinks that will give me a better caffeine high, as it were. Maybe a more natural high. So we got today's sponsor, Aspire Drinks. If you want to go to aspiredrinks.com, what they give you is healthy energy that delivers balanced, crash-free 80 milligrams of natural green tea caffeine. They are sugar-free, and they come in a variety of delicious flavors. They will keep you refreshed and focused all day long. Now, as a new sponsor of this show, they are giving an exclusive discount when you are at the checkout. Enter the promo code RHAZE, and it's like Ray Hayes. Yeah, RHAZE at aspire.com when you order some energy drinks. You could just buy a pack for yourself or just make a subscription if you've already had them before. Once again, these are gluten-free, keto-friendly, soy-free, vegan, and kosher natural energy drinks. The discount is going to give you, the listener, a 20% discount. That's a heck of a deal. Go ahead and put that into, once again, aspiredrinks.com. That's RHAZE. You're already going to probably go buy some energy drinks. Why not buy a bulk? Buy some in bulk. Tell them Ray Hazlip sent you. All right? Do you like drinking coffee? Of course you do. You're listening to this podcast. That's pretty much most people listening to this love drinking coffee. What you want to drink, though, is locally sourced and sustainable coffee. How about some coffee where every time you make a purchase of it, 5% of all of its sales go back to charities to go ahead preserve the great outdoors? How about a coffee that only works with local farmers? Coffee that gives you a great taste. So thanks to today's sponsor, that is going to be Afuera Coffee. You can go to afueracoffee.com and you can order some specially sourced, single sourced actually, sourced from the Rainforest Alliance Farms in Central and South America, coffee beans, ground or whole beans, and get that delivered straight to your house. You want to use my promo code RHAZE, that's RHAZE, at afueracoffee.com. Order yourself some coffee, and they're going to give you 15% off just for using that promo code. Go ahead, get yourself some coffee, and enjoy it knowing that you're giving a little bit back to the environment. All right. We are back. So, while we're talking about some bad news, one of the stories that has been prevalent on this podcast, this iteration of the podcast, is me talking about the game Marathon. And the reason why I kept talking about it is because it's been an interesting examination into Bungie as a studio. because they have been doing things I would not recommend any video game studio to do, but they kept doing it. I've said from basically months before it launched, that I don't think Marathon is going to hit critical mass of player numbers, because there's not a critical mass of people that want to play a hardcore PvP extraction shooter. Not to toot my own horn, but just last week, Marathon was struggling to keep a concurrent CCU number of over 10,000 people. That's, for a game that you just launched 3 months ago, not exactly high numbers, some would say. Some would say that's very, very low, because it's only been going down. They had a free weekend where you could just play the game for free for, a free week where you could just play the game for free during the launch of Season 2. I tried it out then. Still wasn't for me. It's fun. It's cool. It's just not my style of game. That's fine. But so did a lot of people. A lot of people tried it. I actually checked out their CCU numbers, basically on Steam database. And they hit like 40,000 people that were trying the game out. The very second the free week was over, the numbers cratered back down to their priors. So basically, a lot of people went in there, tried out the game. Lots and lots of people went in, tried out Marathon as it was, tried out the new season. And once the free week was over, those exact same lots and lots of people said, not for me, and left. There were a couple people that picked up the game, I'm sure, but I'm saying like the week before the free weekend, its CCU numbers was around 11 to 12K. During the free week, it was about 40K. And then once the free week is over, it went straight back to 11 to 12K. And now it's at 9K. So people don't want to play this iteration of what this game is. And I think that's awful. I'm sad that it didn't find the mass audience it was looking for. Some people have told me, or I have read, that the game was always supposed to only support a niche audience, and that was the goal the entire time. I've heard that, and I think that's cope and a lie. And if that was actually your business model, then the next couple things I'm going to have to talk about are going to reflect that decision. 2 days ago, Bungie laid off about 300 people. I'm hearing the number 292 go around. I know a couple people that were laid off there at Bungie, I do believe. I want to be very clear. Me being potentially very correct about how, hey, this game that you're about to launch, this very specific type of game, don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to fall on its face. I don't take pride in being correct, probably. Even if I'm wrong and it ends up like turning the ship around and the game's like, haha, it was doing very poorly, but now it's a massive success. It pulled a Rainbow Six Siege. It's like, hey, that's great. That's awesome. I don't like Rainbow Six Siege, but I'm glad that there's a ton of people that like it and they pulled it off. I think that's wonderful. That's a great story. I feel stressed out for when developers have to do that, because that takes a lot to shift and focus on that. But so yeah, about 300 people were laid off at Bungie 2 days ago from the recording of this podcast. It was basically the entire Destiny team. Destiny was told, Destiny 2, but everyone just calls it Destiny. They were told that they were going to go into maintenance mode, and they're in. Now that they've laid off the entire Destiny team, they're probably in zombie mode, where the game kind of exists. The platters are spinning, but no one is helming them. The bug fixing team was laid off. The cinematics team was laid off. Parts of the Marathon team were laid off. Whole departments were laid off. Executives were laid off. Major executives like Luke Smith, Mark Noseworthy, and one of the co-founders, Jason Jones, laid off. This wasn't like a simple layoff of like a handful of people, but the company still ticks along, which has happened several times with Bungie. This was a hollowing out. One could make the argument that if you don't have a cinematics department anymore, are you even a AAA studio anymore? Because part of the things that make a AAA studio are large bombastic cinematics. They have no new projects on the horizon. Nothing has been greenlit right now. Everything is in incubation mode. And now they have 300 to 400 people left in their studio to go ahead and do something with that. They are a single game, large studio. They just support the game Marathon right now. And I had said that Marathon as a game, that game is like 10% cinematics by volume. If you laid off the cinematics team, what is the goal there? Make it happen without them? That's weird. So Bungie right now as a studio still stands. But the thing is, they've lost so many employees, so much talent, so many executives, so much leadership has been let go that nothing in that studio feels secure right now. And so the question becomes, why is Sony keeping them around? Why did you hollow out like they're everything? It's kind of like if you, in your body, you take out like a bunch of important bones, and the question becomes, why are you letting me still be here? There's a rumor I heard that Sony Computer Entertainment does not want to be the ones that paid $3.6 billion for one of the most popular first-person shooter studios in the world, Bungie, and then closes them down. They don't want that legacy. I think I heard that rumor from Paul Tassi, specifically, a senior contributing editor at Forbes, the gaming department. He does great work. You should follow Paul Tassi. Great stuff. I think there might be some truth there. I also think Sony just wants something of their money back. They're like, hey, we paid a lot of money for you guys. Can you deliver for us? And the answer for the last 4 years has been, well, no. Bungie isn't innocent in all this. I want to be very clear. They super hired up when they got bought out by Sony. They hired a bunch of people. They built out a brand new studio, I'm told. They increased the size of some departments. They increased the size of infrastructure. And they're like, don't worry, we got Destiny 2. Things are chugging along. And apparently they had about 5 different games, supposedly, at work at any one time. And 4 of those games were just not greenlit. They were canned or canceled or died. The other game, Marathon, did come out, and it is kind of existing right now. There's a lot of people that are playing it, make no mistake, but it's not the numbers that I don't think anyone expected. So that's not great. I don't want Bungie to leave as a studio. I love Bungie games. I think I said that a couple of podcasts ago. I think Bungie has a history of making fantastic video games. I'm not a huge Destiny fan. I think it's fine as a video game. I think it's really good at parts, like really, really good. But I was never someone that put like over 1,000 hours into Destiny. I think if I checked my hour count in Destiny, it was like 120, 130 or something like that hours. I think that's a long time. The last time I played Destiny was 2022. I'm a very fair weather fan, and every time I read about here's what you need to do to get into the next patch of Destiny, I look at all the requirements and I'm like, no, I'm good. That's okay though. There were a lot of people that really did like it. There were talks of like, hey, a lot of people started playing Destiny 2 now that they said that they were going to put the server into maintenance mode. Maybe that'll convince Sony to greenlight Destiny 3. And it's like, no, No. The only reason people are coming back is because they heard that the game was leaving. That's not a justification to spend $500 million on a sequel to hope it works. That's not how that works at all. They're coming to say goodbye. They're not coming to stick around for forever. That's completely different. So let's not be all doom and gloom. How about some good news? All right. Across the Pacific, at least where I'm living, Nintendo is doing fine. Nintendo is a company. Here's what they're doing differently. They just released Star Fox Switch. I picked it up day of. I've been playing it on and off ever since. Fantastic video game. It's like Star Fox 64, but lots of really good quality of life improvements. But Nintendo just actually noted that, hey, we're doing great as a company. We're doing fine. As a matter of fact, we want to retain all of our employees, and we gave them all a 10% raise on their salary. Flat 10%. Starting this quarter. Quote from MSN.com. Nintendo's emphasis on keeping employees around shows up in hard numbers. The company boasts a 98% annual retention rate, which means the average Japanese employee has spent roughly 15 years at the firm. Compared to the US, where workers typically stay at a job for about 4 years, the contrast is startling. By increasing the base pay across its Japanese workforce, Nintendo is choosing to invest in stability instead of cutting expenses. The company believes retaining employees is crucial for producing high-quality games that have defined franchises such as Super Mario, Animal Crossing, and The Legend of Zelda for decades. Let's go back to that. End quote. Let's go back to that. 98% annual retention rate. 98% year-over-year retention rate. The average employee is a 15-year veteran. Oh my gosh, the institutional knowledge at Nintendo is extreme. And that's why they do what they do. Other console manufacturers, they're having to raise their prices. Valve just announced the Steam Machine prices recently. The base model Steam Machine is going to be about $1,100 without a Steam controller. Oh my gosh. And that's a price that nobody wants to pay. And they said, yeah, here's the price. Here's the reason why it's so high. Component shortages. Yep. Makes sense. You know, Switch 2 is still $450. They did announce a price hike this September. By the way, I'm recording this in June. This September, the price will raise to $500. But $500 versus, I don't know, go back to Microsoft. $500 versus $600, still a lot less. And also the Switch 2 is substantially more powerful than the Xbox Series S. It just is. It's a 4K, high definition 4K console that converts into a handheld. What more do you want? You know, there's a lot of complaints I've done about Nintendo in the past, especially on Unscripted Gaming. And when you actually really get down to it, those complaints seem worthless in the face of everything else all other companies are doing. Sony is laying off and almost killing a 40-year-old studio, Bungie. Close to it. Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing anymore, I guess, is the best way to put it. They are trying to run a games division, or maybe they're trying to run it into the ground. I'll let you pick. Meanwhile, Nintendo says, like, hey, we're doing great. We're just going to pay people more money. We want to make sure everybody's happy here. And it's like, everything you're about to complain about Nintendo's like software or hardware issues, you could stop right there. Nah, they're a company that treats their employees correctly, and they're a company that keeps their employees happy. And if they have a 98% year-over-year retention rate, the numbers are speaking for themselves. People are happy there. What more do you want? Like we're not in the place right now, economically speaking, where we get to, in my opinion, nitpick. Different companies doing really stupid things. You can nitpick, and you should go ahead and call it out. Why not? But hovering on it for too long, I feel that's kind of silly. They didn't lay anybody off. Name the last time Nintendo laid someone off. They as a company just don't do it. They really don't. They try not to. They could have. They could always do it. They could always improve their bottom line. But no, they know that decreases morale. And once you decrease morale, you make bad games. You make bad games, you have a bad business. You have a bad business, well, your business is selling video games. What do you think happens next? That's the issue. All the way right there. That is the issue at the root of it. It's rampant capitalism. Rampant. Late stage capitalism. You have too many people looking at the edges of, here's, in this case of Nintendo, here's what Nintendo did that's bad. Here's what Nintendo did that makes me angry. And then the question I want to bounce right back to them is, how many people did they lay off? How many people are they shortchanging in pay? How many studios have they closed? Like, yeah, you can complain about them. You can complain about the fact that they could sometimes ship questionable games, and sometimes their business practices, especially when it comes to game key cards, is weird and upsetting, and it goes against game preservation. These are extremely valid arguments. These are all valid arguments. But they're treating their people right. And I think that means so much. I think that means more than any other complaint I can lob at them. They treat their people right. When I bought Star Fox Switch 2, unlike the release of Grand Theft Auto 6, which is coming out soon, I bought it on a game card. The entire game was on it. I plugged it into my system. It worked from jump. 1080p, 60 frames per second, beautiful video game, well voice acted. I haven't encountered a bug yet. Not a major bug. I have encountered a sound bug. I've encountered that, but when I paused and unpaused the game, it fixed it instantly. Call it what it is, but they seem to be one of the few game developers doing it right. And also they're anti-AI usage, Gen AI usage. You have so many different companies that are like, we're investigating the thoughts of using Gen AI in our games. Nintendo says, we're just not going to do that. That's that rampant capitalism speaking, and it's weird that one of the largest gaming studios, publishers, and developers ever just look at that and say, nah, that's not for us. Nintendo's a publicly traded company on the Japanese stock exchange. They just don't do that stuff. It's good. Rampant capitalism is kind of killing AAA gaming for game developers in the United States. And if you are thinking of working for a studio in the United States, make sure the studio is either privately owned or they have a union. Anything less is, you're kind of rolling dice at this point. Unless you want to get in an indie studio. All the USA-based indie studios are doing fantastically. They're doing great. But indie studio is completely different from like corporate studio. There's so many differences they're not worth getting into. You know what? That's enough for me. I'd love to know what you think. Go ahead, leave a comment, hit the like button, ring the bell if that's your thing. If you want to, go ahead and buy yourself some Aspire energy drinks. I've had those plenty of times. I think they're delicious. Or go ahead and buy a Foya coffee. I appreciate the sponsors out here. If you're getting really bored over this summer and you want to read a book, go ahead and look onto my website, stanhazlip.com, or go to Amazon, type in my author name, Ray Hazlip, and look for my books. Buy one of the books. And we have more podcasts coming for you. We actually have a post-scripted podcast coming out for you. Can't wait for you all to start watching that. So thank you very much for listening to Games Analysis and Producer Perspectives. My name is Ray Hazlip. I hope you have yourself a great day. Bye.